Hi, Andy. Could you quickly introduce yourself, your company, and what is it that you guys do?
Absolutely. My name is Andy Yost, and I'm the CEO and founder of tigerphones. We're a Chattanooga, Tennessee, USA-based wholesaler and retailer of smartphones. We've been in business for over 14 years. In that time, we've handled a lot of different generations, starting with the iPhone 1, which was released in '07. So we've handled and sold a lot of phones. We've spent a lot of years distinguishing ourselves on the online retail side. So we work on eBay and Amazon and Backmarket and Swappa, and we work very closely with those guys, collaborating and doing main page daily deals. And we've been a part of the Renewed program on Amazon since it started. So we have quite a bit of industry experience. And in the last several years, we have been really taking our focus to the wholesale side of things. So that includes building out a wholesale site that has up-to-the-minute pricing and availability, and also building out a whole lot of processes to allow us to scale and serve wholesale clients around the world.
So last year when COVID hit, how did you guys adapt to the changes? What did you guys do, and how did you manage to cope up with the situation?
So last year was pretty challenging. We saw a lot of supply side restrictions and cuts with the different U.S. government shutdowns. That's one thing that we've really spent a lot of time doing, is developing supply side relationships so that we can offer really, really competitive pricing across the board on everything. We mainly do iPhones, but we are tapped into a lot of different products, and that really put a pinch on supply. And something happened that was very strange, which everybody in the industry could vouch for. The pricing, which you normally expect to go down between 1% and 3% a month on major models with just basic standard depreciation, was actually climbing that level or more every single month. And it just was a year like we've never seen. It was a year where product was harder to get and people were a little bit scared to buy because they weren't sure what was going to happen, and economies were shutting down, local governments were shutting things down. But even in the midst of all of that stuff, we actually had a very strong sales year, just doing what we know how to do and continuing to service our clients best, even though that required some really, really thin margin and really having to be sharp. We were able to manage to stay operating, and actually we showed our best year ever last year. So we're excited things are reopening, and there's so much optimism about business, and that e-commerce in particular was a little bit insulated from some of the effects of this, but we're excited that things are returning back to normal and we can grow and scale from here.
So tigerphones is going to be one of our exhibitors in Chitex 2021 in October. So what are your guys' expectations and goals from the show?
We have been very excited to get our brand out there and shake hands and meet people and create relationships. The plan, focusing on wholesale the last several years, was to, in 2020, get out there and do all the major trade show circuits. Now that we've built our operation in a way that we can offer some unique value, and we're doing a lot of things very differently, which we built out a lot of custom integrations, a lot of proprietary software and hardware. We wanted to focus on what customers wanted and needed versus just the way people were already operating. There's a lot of very old school ways of doing business right now in this industry, with WhatsApp messages just going back and forth for hours or days and Excel sheets going back and forth. So we're excited that we have built something we think we can offer some pretty incredible value to worldwide customers, and that's the feedback we've gotten so far. With automation and robotics, we've had some really great people putting out words saying, hey, this is level of consistency of product we're not used to. What else can you get us? How much can you get us? How soon can you deliver? And so it's all been about building to a point where we can open up the doors and really offer literally any model and any quantity to anybody that wants it and be priced very competitively. We've seen ourselves beating almost every big player on every model across the board. So it's really, this conference is really about brand recognition, and we're still doing all the online retail. We have great relationships there, but we really want to focus on the wholesale side of things. We really want to focus on how we can help companies long term. And there's a pretty big gap right now out there with what's being offered and how it's being offered and how things are being run. And our team is very passionate about how we do things. Most of the people being in business 14 years at my company have been there since the early days, which is pretty unique.
I believe you have visited our exhibitions before as well. What's your take on those?
The GSM Exchange, specifically the pavilion, has always been the hub of where all the mobile business and all the handshakes are done. They're at these conferences, so we've done MWCA, just walking it. We've done Prepaid Expo, we've done some of the other big shows, but we have never been on this other side of it. So when we're walking the floor, it's always exciting to see the booths and see all of the excitement and buzz on the relationship creation side of things. So rather than just going booth to booth on the floor and shaking hands and saying, hey, what do you have to offer? It's going to be really exciting.
Plenty of sources have confirmed that 2020 was one of the best years in the telecommunication industry. One, why do you think that is? And second, where do you see Tiger phones in future?
2020 was definitely an interesting year. I can confirm we had our best sales year ever. Ran on tighter margins, but there was an incredible amount of demand on the retail side of things. And once things started to reopen and companies were a little less skittish and borders were clearing, customs a little quicker, we definitely saw a huge finish to the year, wholesale side around some of our worldwide clients. But I would say just the fact that it's e-commerce based really helped, and technology based. Any sort of brick and mortar, walk-in retail, restaurants, hospitality, it really struggled, and for good reason. It just was very difficult for a lot of companies, but being in this industry, we were very fortunate that shopping online, which grows every year, grew at such a rapid rate, because that was most people's only option last year in a lot of the world. And to answer the second part of your question, I see us being a very, very key brand in the industry of wholesale. I touched on it a little bit before. There are a lot of things done, very labor intensive things that lead to inaccuracy and inconsistency on everybody wants phones that are graded accurately, and everybody wants phones that are tested properly. I think I can speak for everyone when I say RMA is one of the biggest pains to deal with in the industry, and it's not fun on any side of it. So we've gotten some preliminary stats last year when we really got our whole process kicking, and we saw an RMA rate from our clients that was actually 2 to 3 times lower than what we had traditionally been able to offer, which is comparable to what everybody is currently offering. So when you're shipping cross borders too, you really want what you ship to work, and you want it to show up as described. So our focus there, just spending years developing this stuff, I think will really help us, as well as being competitive. I think people, when they try and order, when companies take a look and maybe they get outside of some of these long established relationships with companies doing business the traditional way, with warehouses full of people testing phones, just hitting buttons and maybe sometimes losing focus. It shows on the back end of the RMA side and the product quality side. So very, very excited to talk about and show off some of our technology and how we're doing things differently. And I think that'll make a big difference in the evolution of the industry, and we really want to be a part of that.